super, super excited about today's guest. Let's get everything hooked up here. All right. So you can hear the music going, waiting for our guest. Super excited. This is going to be awesome. Cheers. It's appropriate for today. But it is just water. So welcome. Once our guest joins, we'll do all the usual, get ready, and go. We've dressed as best as we could today for our guest. Unfortunately, I don't have specific things. So, yeah. Hello, sir.
Hey, buddy, I just wanted to know I never got the link. Oh, there it is.
Oh.
It just came in right now.
Oh, no worries.
Sorry.
No worries.
Give me 2 minutes.
Yep. Little sneak peek. Could you guess who's coming on the show? Maybe? Probably because you read the header, right? It's kind of no secrets by the time you see this video, because the name is in the title. But, sneak peek. Plus dealing with the whole West Coast versus East Coast side of things, so. It'll be good, it'll be fun, super chill, totally excited. Hello, hello.
Hey, buddy.
Excellent. Give me like a little ABC real quick.
Sure. A, B, C, D, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Perfect. I think levels are good. Let's do this. Awesome. All right. So I'll give you a little intro, and I leave everything else organic. So
Great.
if at any point you're like, hey, I need to get going. If not, we just kind of, I feel, and we don't go forever. So.
Oh, sounds good. Congrats, man. I'm really happy for you. This is wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you being
Danelle's
on.
good. Everything's good. You guys healthy, happy?
We are. With everything going on strike-wise and stuff, that's the hardest part with everything being shut down here in Atlanta.
Sure.
Yeah, Danelle's doing well. She's enjoying her baking. She's working at a bakery right now, and we're doing all that we can. So since I have some time, that's why I kind of wanted to create the podcast. So.
And how many have you done so far?
I've released 2 episodes. I've recorded 8. You will be 9, and I've got 4 next week. So.
Awesome. And then how often did they come out?
Right now, I'm trying to stick to the pattern of Tuesdays at 10, just because it rolls off your tongue. So Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
Is that when you release one every week?
Yes, weekly.
Awesome.
And I try to go off of, I guess that's a final question, which has nothing to do with the podcast before we get into that. if there was a time that you would like to pair with what we'll talk about, if there's a specific date, like, hey, this will help me, or this, I'm open. I don't have set dates for any release. As long as it's recorded and I post-prod, I can release it, so.
No, you could do whatever you want. I mean, we just released American Homecoming on the website, so we'd like to promote that.
Absolutely.
And I was just the host of it, but, my friend is we became friendly, I guess, but he created the show and directed it and all, so
awesome.
I guess anything to help.
And it's out now. It's able to be watched or see.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll try to do this maybe this episode for next week. Not tomorrow Tuesday, but next week Tuesday.
Great. Awesome. That sounds great.
Cool. All right. So we're good to go. So well, hello everyone and welcome to the show for today. Kurzology, as you know, is all about connection, and you know my host from the Travel Channel, from hosting Booze Traveler, and we met 5 years ago and became friends very quickly, which was a delight to me. So please let me have no further ado and introduce Mr. Jack Maxwell.
Hey, Chris. That's true. We became friends very quickly, and it was kind of a fluke thing. But congrats on your podcast. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you very much.
I love that it's about connections. Good stuff.
That's what it's all about. And the funny story is about our connection. The short Cliff Notes version is, what a fluke to watch your show, be a fan, of course, win a contest, essentially, and you come to visit my wife and myself and say, hey, let's have some drinks. And from there, we just easily clicked and realized, hey, we're in the same industry, and hey, this sort of thing. And I have to thank you for that, number one. Number two, I have to thank you for teaching me something I didn't know I needed to learn at that point in my life. You were around my 39th birthday, and I didn't realize how much I wasn't in moments. You are the person I have come to learn is always in the moment. You are the best listener I have known in my life. By far.
Wow. What a compliment. Thank you so much.
Well, I sincerely mean it, because you had a friend, come into town as well when you were visiting us, and being in my truck, going to pick up your friend and go to the hotels and stuff like that, I have never heard my own biography told to someone else, not by me. And that floored me, that you remembered everything that we talked about that night so far. And you were able to say, hey, this is my friend Chris, and this is what he does, and he's been doing this for so long, and this is his wife Danelle, and yeah, you're just amazing in that respect.
Wow. Well, thank you. It's a compliment know that. It's a compliment to me that you are. I guess that all I did was I was just trying to listen and to try to relay information, but I think when you're in the moment, you hear more, you experience more, and each moment becomes more full. I'm not trying to get too esoteric about it, but at some point, I learned that this moment is all we truly have, right?
Absolutely.
A lot of people spend time in the past, and it's okay to visit there. You just don't want to stay there too long, because after all, what is the past? It's really a memory. Basically, sometimes it's a memory of a memory. It's fading over time, and sometimes it's not even an accurate memory. And what's the future? A hope, a dream, a fear, an expectation? You don't know what's going to happen. And so when you make the moment more full, it becomes intense, and you feel like you've done something. It becomes so, again, the full is the only word I could think of. It becomes whole. It becomes you live each moment that way. Then you remember things.
Absolutely.
Because you're really paying attention, not looking at your watch or wondering what you're going to have for dinner or a problem that you had last week that you have to deal with. It's really a gift at this moment.
Yep.
And once I got that, once it clicked for me, life became better. I became a happier person. I became a more productive person, and it all starts with gratitude. And meeting you and Danelle, I mean, I certainly can't say this about every experience in my life, of course. But meeting you and Danelle was really wonderful, and not only did we click, I just admired the both of you and your story and how you've been sweethearts for such a long time. And she was baking these wonderful cookies, and she was teaching, she was training the princesses at Disney World and the Jack Sparrows, and you were an actor and you were pursuing things, and it was all on a fluke because, as you know, and I'm saying this for for those listening,
Right.
It was season 4, episode 1. I held a contest to thank the fans of the show because, thankfully, the fans are really passionate about Booze Traveler.
Yes.
And I was very grateful about that. Very few people say, "Oh, hey, I love your show." They want to talk about the places I've gone and the people I've met and my particular approach and why, and maybe having a couple of cocktails in each place. And so I wanted to thank the fans, and I said, "I'll run a contest. I'll drop a couple of Easter eggs in the first episode here and see if people can put it together, and then I will draw from all the people who got it right." And to be honest, I don't know if I ever told you this. I was undergoing chemo at the time, which was no big secret.
Right,
but
right.
I was hoping because I was doing that in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
I was hoping someone close, maybe someone in Scottsdale, would win, so I wouldn't have to travel so far. Because I wasn't feeling all that great during chemo, and I drew the name, and I said, "Oh, Chris, Orlando." Oh my God, I couldn't have picked a further place. Maybe Miami, but that was, so I said, "Oh my goodness." Well, listen, the guy won. It's only fair. And then there you go. We contacted each other. I went down there. We had dinner and drinks, and that was the thing. Not being in my presence. That's no great gift. But I said I'd take someone +1 to dinner and drinks,
right?
To thank them for being a fan of the show. And I couldn't have been happier that you guys won. It was wonderful, even though it was a long journey. But we got to see Disney World and hang out there, thanks to you and Danelle, and spend more time with you. It was really a wonderful stroke of luck, and I'm grateful we're friends to this day.
Well, and now knowing more pieces of that story, it makes it even that much more special. The fact that you were true to your word. You were going through what you were going through, and you still didn't go, no, I can't do that far. Sorry, or I would have never known. If you picked another name, or we'd never know if I was picked.
But I would have known, and that's not the right way to do it.
Right. But it's that connection. It literally was sitting down with you, and you have the whole nervousness of, hey, we're going to meet the guy on the show. But I've been around actors all my life, so it's not a matter of like fandom, I guess. Like for me, it was because the show was great, and we loved you, what we saw on TV. But you are also very rare in the sense of you are exactly how you are on TV in person. So I can only say that currently about maybe 2 other people. Kenny Rogers was the biggest one. That was the exact same way. If you saw him on TV or on stage or in the Gambler movies, that's how he was in life. So just genuine, again, in the moment, and just appreciative. And so I looked at it as, hey, I'm not here. We don't have to become friends. It just happened. And I think that's what was so cool about it is stories clicked, interest was there, time at Disney. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that was a really nice night for me. I didn't feel like I was doing something for the winner of a contest. I felt like I sat down with a couple of strangers, and by the time the night was over, we were friends.
Yeah, which goes along to a quote, if you don't mind me sharing, your grandmother's quote, I believe, that you told us that night, which fits in perfectly here. You said, Booze Traveler, and it's great having all these drinks, and we asked you all questions about favorite drinks from where you've been and stuff like that, but you said that your grandmother said, if you want to be happy in life, if you want to be happy for a day, get drunk. If you want to be happy for many days, get married. But if you want to be happy for life, have good friends.
Yeah, you used to say many things. My great-grandmother would have this little bit of Irish whiskey, and I would have my 7-Up that I let go flat because the bubbles were too strong for my throat. That's how young I was. And she had these pithy sayings and these bits of wisdom, and they would turn into memories for me and an occasional toast. And that's what one of them should say. Yeah, it should say, Jackie, if you want to be happy for a day, get drunk. If you want to be happy for a while, get married. But if you want to be happy for all time, Jackie, have good friends. Here's the friends. And it was just so sweet and wonderful. And it reminds me of that. It's not that I try to cultivate friends and say I need more friends in my life. Right. But I think you should be open to the experience, because that's where you really find a friend, when you have a commonality and you go towards each other, not when you're on a quest for, I need to find a friend, so I'll become friends with this person, or because you think they can help you, there's an ulterior motive. That never works out either, because then it's imbalanced. We just naturally became friends. I happened to be on a show, but I had the same journey as you. I'm an actor and doing things, and Danelle couldn't be sweeter. It was just a wonderful connection, to bring it back to the purpose of your podcast.
Right. No, and it is, and I always look at that as things happen in life for a reason, and whether some things are good or some things are bad, negative, I guess, you go through certain things, and it's because of the show that we met you, because of the contest, because of your decision, because of what you were going through and saying, I kind of want to give back to people who are a fan, and that's how we met. So it would have never happened had that never happened. And, we got to talk about different things. And of course, your quote sounds better coming from you, because I can't do an Irish accent.
No, I wasn't trying to one up you, I promise you. I was reliving that moment and the way she did it and how it came out. I just wanted to expand on how that came about.
Absolutely. Well,
you did it wonderfully, Chris.
I'll expand on, for those that are going to watch this on YouTube. I let Jack know that he's not being filmed. I'm being filmed. So I try to do a little something for each guest, whether it's changing a background, adding something funny, or whatever the case may be. But for you, and getting to your family topic, I am wearing a 4-leaf clover hat. That's the best I could do, as well as this Cubs fan is wearing a Boston Red Sox red shirt. Now, it's not a jersey, but I wore Boston Red Sox red for you because you are from Boston, correct?
So, I am, but I appreciate you going above and beyond, like the Irish hat. Well, I understand, sure, but to wear Boston Red Sox red when you're a Cubs fan, that's an act of friendship, my friend. I appreciate that. And by the way, I have cousins in Chicago. I have friends in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
We did an episode where I got to throw out the first pitch at Fenway, and an ex-Cub and ex-Red Sox player, Ryan Dempster, taught me how to throw the strike for the throwing out the first pitch. So I love Chicago, and I love the Cubs. Just the idea of who they were, and they finally won a World Series.
Yes.
So I feel we're similar, Red Sox fans and Cub fans, long suffering, and we finally got our World Series, because it's a sin that a great team like the Cubs, with Wrigley Field, what a wonderful place to play, that they had never won until they finally did, and same with the Red Sox. So I feel in that way we're simpatico.
And I am a true diehard, born raised Chicago native Cubs fan, but I do have something in me that wants to go to Fenway one day. I mean, just because.
Oh, let's go!
That history, and of course, if you happen to accidentally, of course, know that Dempster might be there, that would not hurt my feelings.
He's such a good guy too.
I can imagine.
Speaking of down to earth, you would never know that he was a World Series champion. And I think he might still have the record for most successful closes.
Oh yeah, I'll have to look that up
for the Cubs. I'm not sure, but great Cub, great Red Sox. He closed out Game 1 of the 2013 World Series.
Yep.
He plunked A-Rod, so he'll always have a place in my heart for that. After A-Rod sued baseball. He drilled him right in the arm or the elbow or somewhere, because everyone at that point understood that you don't sue baseball, and Alex Rodriguez did, and I didn't like him anyway because he was a Yankee and he almost was a Red Sox player. Before that, he almost got on the Red Sox. But yes, I will. I can't speak for whether Ryan Dempster will be there, but I'd be very, very happy to catch a Red Sox game with you at Fenway.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you grew up in? Is it considered a neighborhood or is it like a section? It's Southie, correct?
Yeah, South Boston,
Okay.
otherwise known as Southie, and inside of Southie, is a place. Well, there are three sets of projects: Old Harbor, Old Colony, and D Street. And I grew up in D Street,
Okay.
and it's odd because it seems like this outsized little place because of movies like Good Will Hunting and The
Oh, right.
Departed and Mystic River. It's and others. Southie, actually, there's a movie called Southie that Donnie Wahlberg did.
Oh, cool.
And a lot of people, to me, for such a little neighborhood, have come out of there that are in the industry, in the film industry. I got a friend who's a wonderful writer, former boxer, Charlie LaGrasso.
Oh, wow.
He'll probably have an impact someday with what he's doing. He's already made a couple of films, a couple of shorts, and
So something is in the water there.
yeah, I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's a funny thing growing up there because the experience is so unique to that place,
Mm-hmm.
unlike other places. And the reason I say that, I have friends who they describe their childhoods or how it was, and they always describe it as a more generic kind of thing. And this was very very specific. And the story, of course, of Whitey Bulger in the movie Black Bass that Johnny Depp was in, of
Right.
course. That's also South Boston. So it just has this weird life of its own, I guess. As an extra character, Southie itself just feels alive, and it's changed a lot over the years. But
I bet.
yes, I'm proud to say I'm from Southie. I think that where you're from can certainly affect you. You should never forget where you're from,
Absolutely.
of course. But at the same time, there are people who've been there their whole lives. They can lay claim to it. I left when I was 13. I went back when I was older to live, to visit.
Mm-hmm.
I still have friends there, but I don't plant the flag in the ground and wear it, on my sleeve. That Southie. I know a lot of people who are not from Southie or even from Boston. They're from the suburbs and they say Boston or they say Southie or whatever the deal.
Right.
They make a big deal of it. I'm just stating it as fact.
Well, and that's a good way for those that are fans and stuff. That's how they can find you as well. Social media, Southie Jack. So that it kind of ties in. But
and it sounds like I'm saying selfie Jack. I can't tell you how many times. Selfie is a new word with cameras, right? It was.
Right.
I don't know, how does it go back 10, 15 years that you take a selfie? So I never worried about that when I came up with the name for it. But
until now.
Yeah, when I tell people, they say, Selfie Jack, you take a lot of selfies? I said, no, it's Southie, Southie Jack.
Yeah.
Southie Jack at Twitter and Instagram. And then they finally get it. So there you go.
Well, and I agree with you, too. The whole big city, I grew up in Chicago. My parents were born, downtown-ish. And then we started going to the suburbs. And so one of the suburb I actually did most of my growing up in was near Woodstock, Illinois. It was McHenry, Illinois, but it was near Woodstock. And people will know Woodstock because that is where they filmed Groundhog Day. All of it. It was not filmed in Pennsylvania. Punxsutawney Phil was actually a gopher in Woodstock, Illinois. So
no kidding. Who knew?
So that was the fame, and this little town just blew up. And every year they have all these celebrations. So the same. When we go back, we feel like we're at home. We kind of same like you. We don't plant the flag, but we kind of carry it with us, and people have stayed, and they're lifers, and that's awesome. And I think that's just a different type of community where Danelle and I are more black sheepish, I guess, and want to kind of do the artsy things and get out and about. So, yeah, it's
nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I want to talk about your new project, but I actually want to get to the Kurzology connection first, because I do want to be able to end with your biggest project currently. So Kurzology and Connection, and everybody that's been watching these episodes knows that we talk about TALES, TALES, which is tests, adventures, lessons, entertainment, and successes. So I get each guest, in light of the old James Lipton, not that James Lipton was old, but just old in reference, James Lipton for the Actors Studio, he used to ask the same 10 questions of his guests as they ended. what's your favorite word, what's your least favorite word, what's your favorite food, what's your favorite cuss word, what would you be, all these things. If there's a heaven when you get there, what would God say to you? So I didn't want to steal, although actors are good at stealing and borrowing, I guess. I wanted to come up with
I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
Yeah, true. I wanted to come up with my own, because if you can't do something better than somebody else, make your own thing. So I kind of figured I'll make my own thing. So
Great.
For you, for Tales for Jack Maxwell, tests. What has been something in your life that is one of the biggest tests that you've been through?
Well, I guess most currently, I've had many in my life, as I'm sure most people have. But I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and while I was doing Booze Traveler, and that was a big test to overcome, because it was the break of a lifetime for me at the time, and I just wanted to keep doing it. But more important, I wanted to live. So I asked my doctor what I should do, and he said, well, it's pretty slow growing, and you don't seem to have too many symptoms. Because when he first said to me, well, do you have any symptoms? I said, I don't know. What would they be like? Mm-hmm. He says, well, your limbs would be swollen, your legs are tired, you're tired, you have a headache, you don't sleep well, maybe you wake up in the middle of the night. And I said, yeah, welcome to Booze Travel. That's from zipping around the world and crossing international date lines and not getting enough sleep or getting too much sleep.
Right.
Drinking some of the wildest, craziest, and best stuff on earth. Yeah, that sounds like me doing the show. And he said, well, that's probably also the same, from this disease. So if you seem to be okay, we can wait till it gets a little bit worse before we have to do something. Eventually it did. So I had...
and was this... I don't mean to interrupt you, but was this early on in... Because you did 4 seasons of Booze Traveler, correct?
Yeah, and so halfway through,
okay,
after 2 seasons on a break, it got this. So I did it from 2014 to 2018, and right at 2016, April 2016, I got diagnosed, and I went into chemo the next year. Mm-hmm. And while I was in, the show got canceled, and so I lost the show, my health, and whatever money I could have saved doing that show, to try to save my life. Because I went through as many treatments as I could and got some extra stuff and immunotherapy because I wanted to live. I could always get another show conceivably, but to lose your health, you want to make sure you come back as strong as possible.
Absolutely.
So that was a test, because it wasn't just going through cancer, Chris, right? It wasn't just managing chemo, the mental aspect of having lost my show and my health and my bank account, all of that, all at the same time. Yeah. So I would say that was a test, but I really prepped myself for it. And there's one key I'd love to share with you. I don't know where this is going question-wise, but the reason I was able to get through all that and come back, in my mind, stronger than ever is because I never, ever lost my gratitude for what was going on in my life, for having had a show in the first place, for having been so healthy, to be able to see the world and meet all these people. I guess what I'm trying to say is to have had it and lost it. They say it's better to have lost and loved than never to have loved at all. I was grateful for that because people were saying to me, oh man, you get this great break and you get to go around the world, and right when you get it, you get cancer. And I said, I'm grateful that I had a show when I got cancer, that I was still able to do it. Because if I got cancer before, who knows how long I would have gone before I worked. So at least I had that experience, and I ended up doing 4 seasons. I did it through chemo and everything else, and I don't think too many people noticed, but a lot of times I was dragging, and I was hurting, and I was not sure what was going to happen. But the whole time, I keyed on my gratitude for it all. Because even cancer and chemo is a life lesson.
Yes, absolutely.
To know that I had the strength to go through it. Because, hey, I was traveling, I was drinking, I was getting a steady paycheck. As an actor, that all those things are very...
That's perfect.
Having a job. Sure. So very few of us have steady paychecks,
Right.
and so to know that I didn't have to worry about any of that was great. But at the same time, to know that I was I had this great big challenge all of a sudden staring me in the face. I
Yeah.
knew then. I said, "Oh no, no! I have to not fall to pieces over this. You have everything; it's taken away. That's a wonderful lesson about the impermanence
Yep.
of life. That
Yep.
you shouldn't attach to anything, because really, that's the source of suffering is attachments, right?
Right.
When you have expectations, when you have attachments, things come into your life, they leave your life, treat it the same.
Correct.
You're
Yeah.
grateful for the experience, and you go on from there. And it really did teach me how to get through something so difficult, how to face a challenge. And to me, as I said to many people, it was only a speed bump, not a roadblock.
Yeah.
And there's a difference because, I said this while I was undergoing chemo. I did a podcast, and they said, how are you able to control yourself that way, to control your mind, control your thinking? And I said, I really didn't. It's not a matter of trying to wrest control from the process of having cancer and going through chemo.
Yep.
It wasn't about control at all. So I said, I think we all have less control than we'd like, but
Yes,
more
I can
power
agree.
than we know.
Mm-hmm.
And once you understand the difference between control and power, then it changes.
And
And
that's
for me, I sailed right through it. I almost felt guilty about how easy it was, but I really approached it the right way, I thought.
and that's really, again, I mean, I'm not blowing smoke, and this isn't a whole like let's praise Jack Maxwell type of show, but and honestly, I mean, that's why I complimented you the way I do, is because you are that genuine person, and there's strength in that. So yes, great. As an actor, I can relate. You went through it. I found out my dad passed while I was on set. I had just gotten hair, makeup, and wardrobe, and I'm sitting in the chair waiting for my 5 minutes and all that sort of stuff to go film this commercial, and I get the call. And the director and everybody knew me, so they're like, "Hey, you want to go?" And I'm like, "No, I have a contract. I'm either gonna go home and cry now or go home and cry later." So they gave me all the time I wanted. I fixed myself up. I did the shoot, blah, blah, blah. When I left, they called me later that night to check on me and said, the client was there. And I was like, oh yeah, because I don't need to get bombarded and flustered by who's here, who's watching. I just do my thing. And they asked if you were okay. And I was like, oh, did they know? And they go, no, we had to tell them. They saw you leave in tears after we got everything. They loved what we filmed. They're so happy with you. They want to bring you back. But they wanted to make sure you're okay because you left crying. And I was like, once we told them your dad passed right then, they were floored. They were like, I cannot believe he stayed. He could have gone home. And it's just that thing where in my mind, I was so overwhelmed with that. All I could think about was, I need to just do this. Because then in my mind, trying to think positively, I went, well, for the first time in my life, my dad can actually watch what I'm doing from heaven. You can't bring family to set. So
that's such a great way to look at it.
So I could relate to you and going through, obviously not something for myself personally health-wise, but a tragedy or big news and pushing through. And that's an attribute to you as an actor, but as a person, as Jack Maxwell, to say, I am so thankful. If this ends or this is ending right now, you know what? We'll get through it. And that's huge. That's huge to me. So yeah, it's...
Good for you, man.
Hey, it's it's one of those things like you said. There's things you can and can't control, and it's how you look at it. So with that's a test you've been through. What's a big adventure? Which is okay. So this is a loaded question because you've been thousands of places or hundreds of places, many different countries. What is one of your biggest adventures? It doesn't even have to be because of travel or anything like that. But what is one of your biggest adventures?
Well, I think when you get out of your comfort zone, when you get out of everything that you're used to, the familiarity, all of that, that's when you can have your greatest adventure. Because you let go of what you know and you just fly. It's like when the mama bird pushes the baby out of the nest and it just flies because it has to. I think that's when I have my greatest adventures. when I let go of the boundaries and I just am open and accept things. And you do that by traveling, because then you're the visitor, you're the foreigner, you're the, I've always been, to me, I always wanted to be more traveler than tourist. Even before I was doing the show, I wanted to see things in a way that I wanted to see them. And I talked to locals, and I would, instead of getting on a tourist bus and have a guy say, to your left, you look out, you see the Tower of London, to your right, the palace. I never wanted to do that. I'm more an individual than a groupthink kind of person, because you want to fill your soul the way you want to do that. And so each country, each episode, I did 63 Booze Traveler episodes, 10 Booze Traveler Best Bars, and 3 of a show called The Trip that they had me on for Travel Channel. But each one, when I went to a place, whether it was a domestic, place here in the country, little city, or the furthest regions, the most exotic places, like Mongolia or Madagascar, everything was just, it was so wonderful to go to a new place. Even a place I had been before, it didn't matter, because your experience is always different.
Yeah.
If you go there, if you go to Paris to see the Eiffel Tower, and that's your number one goal, you're going to miss out on so much. The people, the places, the culture, all of it is so much more important than the monuments and the mountains and the museums. Every time I came back from an episode and people were asking me about it, I told stories had to do with who I met there, not what I did necessarily.
Right.
So for me, the adventure is connecting to people wherever you are. The backdrop is just that, the backdrop. To learn about someone and their family, their friends, their particular traditions and customs. That was the greatest gift for me.
Oh, absolutely.
It was never just the place, although that that certainly held sway. Going to a new place is interesting.
Right.
So and I think meeting new people was my greatest adventure.
I don't remember if it was Samantha Brown or Steve Ricks that said in one of their travel shows that they love to be a foreign local, and Danelle and I adopt that. Like, we too, we'll rent a car or we'll just walk. We went to Dublin a couple of years ago and we just walked. We're like, well, we'll take the train. So it's, we could go to Guinness, we could go to all these different places, but we made so many friends just sitting in the park or talking to people or sharing whatever. Yeah. So I agree.
By the way, there's nothing wrong with seeing things and seeing landmarks.
Absolutely.
But don't forget to get some local touch while you're there. Don't make too many plans, because when you do that, every minute is so, I got to do this, and then we got to leave there at 3:45, then we got to get there by 4. You do too much, you miss it all. It's the difference between flying over the country or, as you say, walking through it. You get your feet on the ground. Each moment slows down, and you get a much more memorable experience. Because I've done it both ways. I've done it many ways, and doing it that way to me was the most satisfying.
Yeah. So then, does that lead into L for Tales? Your lesson is that one of your big lessons in life of slowing down and taking those moments, or is there something else that kind of stands out as advice for a lesson you've learned?
Yeah, it ties into what you said before, really, about being in the moment. I've seen so many travelers, tourists, people visiting places that you could see they're worried about the next place they're going to, because we have to get there before it closes, or before too many people get there, or blah, 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 blah. But what about this moment right here? They're always looking to the next thing that they have to do, because maybe they saved a long time to get to this place.
Right.
And they only have 2 weeks or 4 days or whatever it is for vacation. So they have to do as many things as possible. And then they get home and they need a vacation from their vacation because they're so exhausted, right? Let it be an adventure, but also let it be replenishing. Let it open your eyes to a new way to see things, or open your heart to feel in a way that it hasn't before, because you met a friend. And yes, you can make the argument, well, I can meet a friend back home, but it's not who you meet, it's why.
Right.
Because you're open
circumstances.
Right, and learning about their life, and I guarantee their life is different than your coworker who lives in the building next door to you or down
Yep.
the street.
Yep.
You're gonna get a whole new way, and you just might learn something. You might be inspired by this different person with a different lifestyle, with a different way of looking at things. You might then see things in a different way,
Yeah.
or you might enhance the way you see things. But again, it's starting with being able to travel to a place, to be so gifted with, not just me because of the show, but that we could get on a plane and go somewhere. I mean, just think a century ago, none of this was possible. We were
Right.
taking covered wagons to the west side
Yep.
of this crazy land that would become the United States of America. Now the world has become so small. See
Yeah.
it. You'll never regret traveling.
And at the same time,
Never.
it doesn't have to necessarily be a Paris or a faraway place. You know, we just recently moved to Georgia here from Florida, and we're 20 minutes from the mountains. So that's foreign to us, but we're getting used to it. And just driving 20 minutes into the mountains to sit and drink some wine or have a conversation with my wife is amazing. So that's kind of travel to
That's
us.
the way to do it. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Random weekends and stuff like that, which you came into our life at the perfect time, because I am still struggling with the whole like, let's do this and let's do this, because I'm a box ticker. I love checking the boxes. Oh, I want to see this, and then we can go here and we can have lunch here. Since meeting you, I've slowed down to be like, okay, let's do those things if we can, and not get upset if the tickets are sold out or we miss the train or whatever the case may be. You know, there'll always be more.
Well, thank you. That's a nice compliment. I hope I haven't led you astray.
No, so
But-
far so good.
You know, it's these wonderful things called happy accidents.
Yeah.
Right? When you feel like, okay, it's sold out, we can't go there. You never know what the alternate experience is going to be.
Yeah.
Because really, if you feel like you have to, and this is not certainly any kind of personal criticism, but when someone feels like they have to tick off all the boxes when they go on a trip or something like that, it's really about control, because you feel
Right.
like you have to do so many things to make it worthwhile.
Exactly.
But you could
Yep.
just sit in a restaurant, and like we did this in Spain. We were at a restaurant and we were filming, and when we were done, we had the option. Okay, we'd go back to the hotel, get ready for the next scene because it wasn't going to happen till nighttime and whatever. And I said, "Well, we got these wonderful G&Ts, gin and tonics, right? And they serve it in big bulbous glasses in that place in Spain, which is 17 different regions, right? They
Oh,
feel
geez,
they're more regional than they are Spanish. But in this particular place, and I forget the city, to be honest, they serve these wonderful big bulbous glasses full of gin and tonic, so you can get the aroma. And I never really had one that way before. And it was this wonderful piazza, even though that's Italian, I think. But it was this great plaza, and there were pigeons and people and the aesthetic, and the sun had reached a point where it almost felt like it was coming into golden hour, and I didn't want to miss it. And that
Yeah.
experience, and then we talked to a few people who walked up to us because they saw the cameras, even though the cameras were on the ground. And I just wanted to stay and take it all in.
Yeah.
And I still remember that to this day, and that was 2014.
Yeah.
Because it was just a quiet, beautiful experience that was neither forced nor manipulated or predictable.
Right.
It just happened.
And had you gone back to the hotel to do what you did, let's just generalize here, what you did every night. Oh, we're going to go back, we're going to get ready, we're going to shoot that. You wouldn't have remembered it because you've been like, well, we do this every night.
Yeah, I took a nap.
Right.
Whatever it was,
Yep.
right? And I certainly would have if I needed to do that to get ready for the next scene, of course. But
Correct.
I just wanted to sit there in the moment and let it wash over me, and I'm so happy I did.
So, what is something that Jack Maxwell finds entertaining? Which I feels like, this is my favorite question to ask people, because it could be anything that you want, but what entertains you, or what brings out something that you find fun?
Well, as an actor and a television host, I love theater or cinema. I love actors getting up there and telling a story. And it could be someone on stage singing, playing a guitar. I love the artistic expression
Okay.
from storytellers. But I mean, cinema brings it all together. What a wonderful art form, because there are so many people involved.
Yes.
People who, the directors, the writers, the actors, the storytellers, the art department, transpo, craft services, all of it coming together. All of this wonderful creativity coming together to
Yep.
put this story together up there on the silver screen, or even if it's just on the TV screen,
Right, right.
or if it's a play. I'm always entertained by storytelling. Maybe it's the Irish in me. I don't know. I'm also Sicilian, so who
Both
knows really?
stories.
Just fantastic, wonderful. How do I say it? Not escapism, but just you get to know someone by the stories they tell. I think,
Right.
and we all choose different stories as an actor. We don't tell our own stories; we tell someone else's for the most part. But that was again the great gift of Booze Traveler. I got to be myself. Nobody told me what to say. There were no lines written for me other than voiceover, because that has to fit in to certain scenes. But if you saw me on screen, that was me reacting in the moment to what it was, whether it was the place, the person, the drink, whatever it was. I remember we were in Germany, and this guy made a liquor from apples, and I just picked up the apples and started tossing them like a basketball into the barrel, and I said, "I'll bet you I can make them." And I don't know, I maybe I made 4 or 5 in a row, and he had to pay it off by letting me try his super really good expensive stuff.
Right.
But none of that's really planned. It's just we do what we do in the moment, as we should when we travel.
Yeah.
And I wanted to live that. I didn't want to just speak the words. I wanted to live. Let's do that. Like we were in Nepal, and we were in a scene that it wasn't quite working. The guest was really hesitant to be on screen, and I look across this very busy 5-lane, not 5-lane, but there's a big crisscross road with like a big how do I say it? But it's a big heavy intersection. But it was Nepal. It was Kathmandu, and I saw this monk over there at the bazaar. And anyway, I started talking. I said, let's go over there. So we just pivoted and we went over there and we filmed him. We started talking to him, and I asked him about his thing, and did you ever have a drink before? Because it's a drinking show, of course, right? It was about that. Right. And he said, one time, head hurt, no more. So he didn't want to drink it. And but he was so great. And he's talking about his religion. I was asking him about Buddhism. And he said that, about this and that. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I don't believe in reincarnation. And he got sad. And I said, well, maybe I did in a past life. And he laughed. He knew I was setting him up the whole time. And he started waving his finger at me, pointing like, oh, you got me. And it was just this wonderful exchange that wasn't planned at all, because, oftentimes we set up the meetings with people ahead of time, so we know they're going to be there, and they'll have time for us to get to know who they are. We'll sit with them or visit them or whatever. But this was just off the cuff, and it was so fun and wonderful and impromptu. It was really joyful to be able to do that. So I not only do I say don't make too many plans, even when we were filming, and you want to kind of stick to the schedule, because it's not easy to get all of that film in the can, as they say.
Right,
but
time is money and all that.
In this case, exactly right. But in this case, we broke off and did something different, and it really worked out.
and that's what I love, because it is that more of that human connection. Anybody can have a drink, and like you kind of just hinted, you don't even remember what you may have been drinking or what, but you remember the person, the story, the joke, as opposed to a drink you can get anywhere, or even if it's special, it's still, it was gone. You drank it, it's gone. But the moment lasts. So then that brings us to the last here for success. Now, all this is balled into all these things, these lessons, these people. But if you had to define, if you are telling somebody, you're looking back on your life so far, and let's say you're halfway through, or whatever age you hope to go through. Are you still there? Oh no. Hey Siri, call Jack Maxwell.
Calling Jack Maxwell.
Hey, buddy, did we run out of time?
No, I don't. I'm not sure what connected there. I'm going to send you another link here real quick.
Well, yeah, because I went back and clicked on the link again that said this recording is already ended.
Yeah, I think I got to send you a new one. Let me. I'm sending it right now.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. I don't know. It's probably on my end at some point here.
Yeah, I'm sitting up against the wall on my bed in my room, so...
Okay, it is sent. So we'll just kind of, once you get in, I'll give it a half a second and pretend like we were just still talking.
Yeah, sure.
You should have it now.
Alright, it says checking for mail. So, I'll hang up. Maybe it'll come through faster, and then I'll just click it.
Okay, perfect.
Hold on. I'm hanging right now.
Okay. Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. Behind the scenes. That was all about the worst fear. All right, and of course it's like as we're getting to like the last couple minutes.
Alright, here we go.
All right.
Sorry about that.
No worries. My apologies as well.
I don't know what happened. That's alright.
All right.
We were on a roll. Hate to kill that moment.
I know, right? We'll bring it back. We're professionals.
There you go. At least you are.
Trying. So that brings us to S in tails, right? Successes, which hearing all these stories and everything, I could probably dictate for you what I consider success. But what, if you were looking back on your life and saying, hey, I'm halfway through my life, or I feel like I'm going to live to XYZ and I want to give advice to the younger youth out there and people listening and watching, what is one of your biggest successes in life?
That's such a good question because everyone, there are many ways to define success.
Yeah, that's why I love asking it, because there's no wrong answer, but I love hearing everybody's different, definitions of, wealth, popularity, checking off goals, starting families, all the things that are so different that everybody has given me so far. So it's my favorite question.
Well, let me think about that. 'Cause I want to be thoughtful about that. I don't remember the last time I was asked that question. Growing up poor in the projects without a father, you would think that having enough money to keep a roof over my head and feed myself and maybe have a few fancy toys would be considered a success. But for some reason, and I think it's the wisdom and the guidance from my mother and grandmother and great-grandmother, the one with the toast, probably kept me from running in that direction. Because, what you run from, you run to, right? So I try to be a little more balanced in my life about that. I never needed to have $1 million. I just wanted to be happy with my life. So I think if you look at the overview, for me, being successful is being able to do what you want to do in life, what's in your heart, to be able to chase your dreams unencumbered. Now, it doesn't mean there are not pitfalls along the way or roadblocks or the occasional quicksand where you get stuck doing something. But being able to stay on track, knowing what it is you want out of life, and being able to pursue that, I think is the definition of success. And of course, having love in your life and being loved is part of that, because as the cliche goes, no man or woman is an island. So I think having good relationships in your life with people you trust, who you trust back, who love you, they have your back, they're loyal, you're loyal back, having that, and being open to others being in that as well, Not just saying
Open
I have
mind.
my little clique, my little gang, and we're against the world. It's not that, because I've never been a joiner. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I never joined a club or a group or a frat or anything like that. That would
Right.
exclude others. You know, the problem is it can be inclusive, but if it excludes others, I'm not a part of it, because we're all in this thing together on Earth. We're all
Yeah.
humans, and I think you have to look at people as humans first, not a member of this group or clique or
Right.
gang
I agree.
or club. So I think having people in your life,
Yeah, I agree.
uh,
And Kenny
and
used to say, I feel like the older people in lives are always the wiser, and as you get older, you get wiser. Hopefully, I'm working my way. But Kenny's mom told him early in life, you need three things in life to be happy or successful, however you want to read it. One is something to do, and two is someone to love. So what you just said. Three is something to look forward to. So if you have those three things, if you have something to do, someone to love, and something to look forward to, you should be successful. You should be happy.
well, that's the thing. If you're always chasing your dream,
Yeah.
because it's never quite complete, is it? That gives you the something to do, I suppose, if you want to look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And having people in your life that you can count on and that you're there for them. Having true warmth for your fellow human being
Yes.
is where it starts. And sometimes friends come in and out of your life for different reasons,
Mm-hmm.
of course. Sometimes it breaks your heart when you lose friendships or relationships,
Mm-hmm.
but having a healthy outlook towards that, always saying, this is what I think would make me happy. I'm going to go do that. And I've been given that opportunity to do so, and I couldn't be more grateful for it all.
Awesome. That's yeah. Well said. And you have things to do and people to love, and so you have things to look forward to, which is something you're currently working on. So it's looking forward to because it's out, and we're hoping for the biggest success. Explain a little bit about this AmericanHomecoming.tv gig that you're hosting.
Yes, a gentleman came into my life by the name of Tracy Trost through a mutual friend, and he created this show, which was it's really wonderful. What we do, it's called American Homecoming,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm merely the host. But this guy put together this wonderful team of volunteers that will go find a veteran in need who came back from service, not necessarily a foreign land and the theater of war,
Okay.
could be scheduled at a local base and got hurt somehow, injured, permanently disabled. This particular instance, our vet was a Navy man, and he got thrown into a wheelchair because he had cancer that was crushing his spine. So Tracy and his team of volunteers, and I had a small part as the host of it, redid this whole house for him. They
Wow.
replaced the stairways with ramps at the front of the house. They opened up doorways and gave him a remote clicker to give him some independence, which is a huge part of being disabled or restricted, or however you
The
want to say
mental
it.
aspect. Yeah.
Yeah, and tore out the carpeting, put in hardwood floors to make the wheelchair easier to roll. Also, the
Wow.
aesthetic made it nicer, fresh paint inside. A designer came and did flowers and plants and put in this wonderful dining room table and this work desk that rises and and lowers based on how he wants to sit at it,
Mm-hmm.
and did this wonderful artwork. And it was such a great thing that this is why I'm talking about it, as opposed to a couple of other projects that I'm involved with also. But this really hits close to home because you know, we without getting into the whole diatribe about
Right.
war and battle zones and all that,
Right. Right.
I think people who give the ultimate, should be treated that way when they come home, and
Yeah.
they're too often not. People who give of themselves, sometimes their life, their limbs, even the mental aspect of it, we should give them something back. And I don't mean to sound trite in saying
No.
so, but in this way, I think that we can make their lives better. Give them a semblance of
Yep.
their old life back. They could never have it because now they're in a wheelchair,
Right.
and or hurt, or maybe on crutches, or a walker, or restricted in some way. I just think we, as private citizens, to be able to give back, to supplement the things that are out there that will help our vets, the different programs, the VA, whatever, and in conjunction with DAV and several others, we did this show, and it's at AmericanHomecoming.tv.
Okay.
It's a website. They can go watch the episode for free. You can sign up to be a delegate, which doesn't cost you anything. It just means that you'll spread the word.
Oh,
Because if we get enough people watching, and our goal is 1 million views, and enough people involved, we can maybe go on to do more episodes, which is wonderful. And I don't care where we put them up, whether a network comes and buys it, or a cable station, or a streamer, or a syndication, or just on the website. We're doing good work. And for so many of us, and I answered this question earlier, it's entertaining to be able to do television and film. But when you have a greater purpose, when what you're doing also helps people, well, then that's really when it becomes important.
And
right?
you said it earlier too, story. It's that storytelling. And now this isn't like a super fun fantasy, great character, evil, whatever. It's an actual story, real life. But you're right. I've always kind of leaned into the term give back, because I too agree with everything you said. And people going to war, those brave enough to go to war, to choose if they want to, or go into the forces is what I mean, go into any of the armed forces to protect us. Oh no. Dang. Yes, sir. Yes. I don't know. I've got full here. let me. We'll get through this last bit real quick. I can blend. It'll sound seamless, but. Not the one I sent you. I'm gonna send you a new one. Right now, you can hear the waiting music. Hold on. All right, that's sent. So the new link should be there. Man, technology is fun, and of course it happens. Right at the end. Happy little accident. Good grief. This would be the worst one for post-prod. Holy cow. Gotta love technology. Sometimes it's awesome. Sometimes it's not. Ta-da!
I'm here.
Okay. Okay. So I'm with you as well, in the sense of if they're brave enough to go to the armed forces and dedicate their lives, they're expecting to come back the way they went in. And when they don't, I feel like it's so important that we have to take care of them. Like, they don't volunteer or get into the services to, lose limbs and that sort of thing. So I think this is such an awesome concept. I encourage everyone, go to American Homecoming, all one word, .tv. Check it out. Become a delegate. I'm going to do the same thing and scope it out so that we can get your 1 million views, get this just in whatever form, like you said, whichever way we can to get it out, to keep going so we can keep helping and giving back to those, as many as we can.
I agree. And it feels good to just give back a little, right? I mean, I've never served my country in that way. I've never joined the service.
Same.
Clearly, we don't have a draft anymore. I had a different calling. But to honor those who have felt that call, who have gone, and even if you come back perfectly okay, 100%, you still deserve credit for doing so. But so many of them don't. Whether it's mental, physical, emotional, they come back different, and we should be there for them, and the way they were there for us, with no judgment. You could be anti-war, hoping that we have peace forever, but still support our soldiers, our warriors, people who are out there defending our freedom. So, and it's not about wearing the flag or trying to be overly patriotic and claiming some kind of mantle. It's just the right thing to do. It's that simple. And it doesn't matter what side of the political equation you're on or anything. I think we can honor people who deserve to be honored, and the best way we can do that. And for me, it's hosting this show and giving something back. And I hope everyone will get a chance to take a look. Again, it's a free episode. It's up there. I think you'll be moved by it. It's really inspiring to me, and I hope we get to do more.
And is there more? Do you know if there's more with that website, that if people really want to get involved, is there ways to volunteer or donate or things like that? Or is it right now just getting the concept out there and getting this episode spread?
That's such a good question. I'm not involved with that side of it. I think at some point you'll be able to support the show somehow. I don't know if that's in existence right now or not. We're trying to get 1 million views, and I guess by spreading the word and getting other people involved and sending the link to others that to friends, I think right now all they have to do is click on it and watch. That's all we're asking for right now.
Simple.
In the future, that might be different when we try to go into production again. But right now, it's just about getting eyeballs on it and starting the conversation about helping our vets when they come home.
Absolutely, and that's so easy to do. You're watching the YouTube video right now. You're listening to the podcast. Take some time. You can even skip my next episode just to watch this and then pair it with it.
Don't do that either. You can do both.
Yeah,
you can do both.
Absolutely, but that is such an important thing. I'm definitely going to do it myself, if not this evening.
Thanks, buddy.
But absolutely. So get the word out. AmericanHomecoming.tv. Check it out. Follow at Southie Jack. SOUTHIEJACK on all the social medias to find out more of what Jack's doing. Maybe we'll have him back on a later episode to catch up again. But Jack, dear friend, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I do value our friendship. I do value your time for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. It's fun. I always love talking to you, whether it's just a phone call or seeing you, or in this case, celebrating you with your podcast and sharing my stories. I appreciate the time. And even more so, I appreciate our friendship.
Absolutely, and I'm going to hold you to that game at Fenway at some point in time.
Absolutely.
Sooner than later, hopefully, so that we can enjoy it together. But everybody out there watching, thank you very much. Listening, thank you. Keep liking, subscribing, doing all the things that I hate asking for, but have to because, well, we want to get the stories and the connections out there. Thank you for your time, Jack. Everyone, please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We'll catch you next time.